Hey Lotuses, welcome to my channel. This is Lotus Magic, and today I'm bringing you your May 2019 Oracle Guidance message. And I'm just going to start off by saying that for those that have been looking for their reading, I apologize. I haven't been able to get to any of my readings for the last month, for the month of March or April. I mean, it is April, but since we're already halfway through, I decided to just forge ahead and take a look into May. But what I'm finding is what resonates with me as a reader is not about sticking to a certain schedule and trying to get monthly messages out, because that's just the timing. And I'm really trying to allow my intuition and spirit to guide me when it's time for me to give my message. And for those who resonate with my readings, I feel like it's because we need time to do the work. And if you do the work, you don't really, if you're doing the work, you don't need constant readings, okay? You really just need to kind of check in and make sure you're on the right path. Things are still going. Maybe there's another layer of healing that needs to take place. So I'm really trying to just go with the flow of how I feel, what spirit guides me to do, and when spirit guides me to do it. And this is one of those times where it was just like spirit was like, get some readings done, get some readings done. And two, sometimes I think that it's also like urgent for me, because um, although I'm delivering messages of healing and help to others, through helping others, I also help myself. So it's definitely a reciprocal relationship when it comes to me doing the readings. It's not all about me helping you direct your life and um, because I'm in a perfect place. It's really about sometimes connecting with those who need to hear the same things that I need to hear, if that makes sense. Um, so with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get started into the reading, because I don't want it to be too long. Okay, your oracle guidance message comes from the goddess of the sacred path, and I hope this isn't too blurry. I really don't feel like any unnatural light right now. I just want, the light, natural light. So I hope you can see this, but if it's hard to see, just leave a message in the comments and I'll be sure to adjust it next time. So it's the goddess of the sacred path, and it says, let go of logic and trust your intuition. So many cancers in the collective are trying to manifest something, and you're trying to do it logically, and it's taking away from your intuitive side. Cancers are very intuitive people. So you need to rely on your intuition. You get the feelings, you get the insights and things that on where you need to go and what you need to do. You just need to trust it. And perhaps this is because um, maybe something in your childhood um, may be coming back up for healing, where you weren't really allowed to express yourself or trust yourself, follow your intuition. You weren't allowed to follow your own path, and maybe you've hit a roadblock where it's, do I do what I'm expected, or do I do what I feel I really should do? And maybe the decision is, one is a logical approach, one is a more intuitive approach, and um, you're trying to look at it through the perspective of what society considers logical and what the divine considers as um, sacred, which is definitely tied to your intuition, because that is your divine guidance kicking in, and you need to trust it. You need to focus your energy on intuition. So, again, this comes up because the answers you seek are already within you. and you need to focus on tapping into yourself, into your inner self, your third eye, and following the signs and synchronicities that the universe is putting out there for you on what you need to do. And if you've been receiving the messages but they don't seem logical, this is where you're starting to trip yourself up and you're actually delaying your manifestation instead of bringing it in. So you need to trust your intuition, and 22 is a master number, so you really need to master your ability to trust yourself and trust your intuition, because a lot of trusting your intuition has to come from trusting yourself, trusting that when you get that message, you are perfectly capable of knowing what you need to do and doing it. You also need to surrender. This card comes up when someone is focused too much on the outcomes, and this again going back to that logic versus intuition. Perhaps you can't see the outcome when you're following your intuition, because when we're following your intuition, that's it's more or less living in the now. So you're being guided on what to do now, and not really understanding the outcome of what that decision might be. Whereas something logical, you can kind of you can map out A to Z a lot easier and see and foresee. So because um, you're relying so much on the logical side, it's making you become too focused on the outcomes, and you need to just surrender the outcomes of what you're trying to manifest to the divine and focus solely on your intuition and following the signs and synchronicities on what you're going to do to get there. What you desire will come faster if you just surrender the outcome and don't worry about the outcomes. Trust yourself more and know that you're on the right path and you're being divinely guided in whatever it is that you're trying to do or manifest. You don't need to worry about the outcome. It's like I call that like the who, what, where, who, what, when, where, why, and how of manifestation. And the only part that you need to worry about is what you're trying to manifest. Okay, um, you really don't need to know at this point how it's going to manifest, uh, when it's going to manifest, why you have to do certain things to get it to manifest. You don't need to worry about those things. The only thing you need to worry about is your what you're trying to manifest. And then you need to hold that manifestation in your mind in the most positive way, and already believe that the outcome is going to happen. Um, Without attaching yourself to the how it's going to happen, the when it's going to happen, the where it's going to happen, and all that stuff. Don't attach yourself to that, because that makes you follow too much of the logic and less of the intuition. Okay? You also need to focus your energy on relationship change. But I feel like this is really focusing on changing the relationship with yourself and changing your relationship with the divine, so that you can grow closer to the divine and rely more on the divine side of guidance and not the guidance that you get from those you seek counsel from on a physical level. Um, Definitely changing the way you view yourself. So a lot more self-love will help you trust yourself a lot more. It will bring back that confidence to rely on yourself, and it opens your heart chakra. Okay, our heart chakra is the center for giving and receiving. So you definitely have to have an open heart if you're going to receive the manifestation that you're desiring. And you're going to need to trust yourself. So work on changing the relationship. Work on changing how you view yourself. You're capable. You are smart. You are intuitive, and you need to embrace that gift and understand that that gift has been given to you to help you help yourself. Okay, but I feel like this just may have come from like some childhood stuff. You may need to revisit some childhood, do some inner child healing with the ego. And I say that because for your chakra wisdom, one of the cards that came up was the facade card. And this card is the story of a little boy who, as a child, had to become the man of the house very early. And because of that, he wasn't able to play at parks and do things that kids do. So he would, whenever he would go visit a park or walk by a park, he would secretly cry. And he would have a moment of secretly crying and then wipe his tears and pretend that he was okay. And then when he died and on his way to heaven, he stopped at the park to have that moment, that brief moment of childhood. So before he was able to fully transition, he needed to heal that inner child. And I feel like that's really what a lot of you guys need to do. Something in your life that was taken away from you, that inability to express yourself, the inability to make your own decisions and trust your inner wisdom, it may have been taken away from you. And so it's created this dynamic where you tend not to trust yourself and you tend not to trust your own knowing, your own inner knowing. And so it could also be that there's some isolation going on too that you need to work on. Um, and pretending that you're okay with it, you need to stop doing that. Um, because you're really, it's not even just isolating yourself from other people, you're isolating you from yourself because you're not relying on yourself. And you may not truly be happy even though you're putting on this front. You may even be doing something, even if it's not about happiness. The logical route is not who you are. It's just what you're doing because it seems and appears to be logical to people around you, or even yourself, based on what you were taught. It's the most logical thing to do. All right? But you need to get out of feeling like you owe anyone the you owe anybody anything at this point. And because I see 6 stars in here, it's like family. Like it's like I have this duty in my family to do a certain thing and I need to stick to that. But my heart is here. My heart is somewhere else. And this is like almost like the story of someone who grows up, whose family has prepared them for a life as a lawyer. And we see this all the time, especially like on movies and things, but we see this all the time, where the parents have pushed this child to be a lawyer, and everything they've done was to be a lawyer, the most logical thing to do. Maybe even maybe your mother, father, grandfather held this certain position in society and you're supposed to take over the ranks of that. And because of that, your childhood or your environment never allowed you to the freedom to express who you are and enjoy things that you wanted to enjoy. So now it's time to go to college, and inside your heart you really want to go to college to be a dancer. Okay, you've always wanted to be a dancer. It's what you love, it's what you're good at, it's what resonates with your heart. But the most logical thing to do is go be a lawyer. Why? Because they make good money. But the intuitive thing to do is to go dance because it's what you really can, it's what you're really good at. Okay? But you've convinced yourself that you don't see the logic. You've been told that, dancers don't make a lot of money. Dancers, it's not stable. It's not sustainable as a career and things like that. All these programs. But now you've signed up to go to law school and you're unhappy. And now you're looking back on all the things that you've missed and all the opportunities that you could have had to just do what you love and be free. And you're stuck kind of doing what's logical. Okay, that's just what this energy reminds me of. Someone who's following a career path that has been that they've been programmed with, and instead of following a career path that they really truly want to do. And I'm not just saying it has a lot to do with family, simply because um, I see these 6 stars sticking out, and it may be following the family's wishes. Six is a family number, following the family's wishes. Six is also the number of responsibility. Um, if you're a life path six, then you probably are the person in the family that many people rely on. So it's created this dynamic where you have a sense of duty, like this kid says, but I mean this card says, but now you need to be truthful with yourself, because this card definitely denotes a person who is saying to themselves, this isn't who I am. And I would like to go back and get the opportunity to do what it is that I've always loved. You need to follow your intuition, okay? Don't worry about how that's going to pan out. Don't worry about the money, the status, how it's going to change things. Don't worry about that, because when you really truly are doing what you love, the money will follow, okay? We also have the wisdom card, and the wisdom card um, denotes someone who knows the difference between a calculated risk and stupidity. So again, it's coming back to that you're not trusting whether your decision to follow your sacred path is a calculated risk or stupid. Okay? And maybe this comes um from, like I said, your childhood, where you were programmed or to believe that one path is the most logical because it's the most stable, but it's the least fulfilling for you personally, and you're not telling people that. You may be good at it, you may make a lot of money, but you're not fulfilled on a heart level. All right, so the question for this card is, do I go with my heart or do I go against it? Am I ready to live in leadership? So again, this card is really pushing you to follow your heart. Are you following your heart right now? Taking the logical path, is that the path that your heart is pushing you to, or is it working against your heart? Ask yourself those questions, okay? And see what you say, okay? It's time to get into yourself, okay? Really go within. The last one we got here was isolation card. And this I feel like may be indicating that you're feeling quite isolated, simply because again, you're not really able to express your true desires and your true feelings. And that makes us it makes us feel alienated, and we become reclusive, which is already easy for cancers to do. You guys can do that naturally. Um, so you really need to work on expressing yourself, trusting your intuition and expressing that, so that you can get out into the world and follow your dreams. Okay? Don't isolate yourself, because it's 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 still it's hiding. Okay? Isolating yourself is still a form of not being who you truly are and following the path that's right for you. So, excuse me. Um what you think is solitude is really isolation. Okay? Yes, we need to take a break, take a time out and things like that, but I think you're doing it to protect yourself, and because you're afraid to take the action. So you're kind of isolating yourself to avoid having to make decisions and take actions, and you need to get out of that. because it's time for you to live your truth. Like, this makes me kind of sad because no one should have to hide who they truly are from anyone. Okay? You're just going to have to build the confidence to say, I am who I am, and you either like it or you don't. Love me for who I am, or leave me alone. So your healing insight message, your crystal healing insight message comes from Blue Lace Agate, and this is the crystal of self-expression. So again, this crystal energy, which I love because it just really lays out that confirmation. Um, it's really saying it's time to speak your truth with integrity and confidence. Don't fear being judged. Okay? Focus your mind and open your intuition, and then your life will be long and happy. Expressing yourself fully releases neck and shoulder tension, thyroid deficiencies, throat and lymphatic infections. So, if you've been having throat problems, that's definitely a throat chakra issue. Um, if you've been going through any type of tension and pain, that's definitely a sign that, you're in a place where you're just, because you're not expressing yourself, you're holding in all these emotions, and it's starting to affect you physically. Okay. And I'll just say that when I was a younger child, I didn't talk a lot, and not really because my environment didn't allow me to. I just maybe felt like maybe there was a part of me that felt like my environment didn't understand me. But I didn't talk a lot as a child. And then as I got a little older, um, when I went to live with my father's a strict disciplinarian. So we weren't allowed to express ourselves and our feelings. What he says is what goes, right? He's that kind of parent, very authoritarian. Mama, go ahead. I have to drink my water. Okay, quietly, please. Okay. He's a strict authoritarian. So I wasn't allowed to express myself. So even when I was in a lot of hurt and pain because of things that I had gone through in my childhood, I wasn't really allowed to express that. So I suffered a lot from like throat problems, having my throat um, shut down at times, throat infections and things like that. Um, so I'm saying that I've experienced that what can happen on a physical level when you're not expressing yourself. And so you need to really work on expressing yourself and letting people know who you really are, what you really want to do, and how you really feel. Okay? Hold on. Okay, sorry about that. I had to take a pause because my daughter needed me for a second. Um, so I also wanted to reflect on this card because I forgot to pull your blockages card before I did your reading. So as you can see, I did that on camera. I just needed to pause for my daughter. But what's blocking you, Cancer, is the Star card. So I feel like this is saying what's blocking you right now, what blockages you need to release, is the inability to see how things are going to pan out, an inability to see how your wishes are going to manifest. Because here we have the 17, the number 17, which breaks down to an 8, and 8 is a number of manifestation. And 1 is the number of self. 7 is the spiritual number. So your inability to rely on the divine, and your angels, guides, and yourself, your intuition, to help manifest your true hopes and desires. Perhaps you feel like, again, following what your intuition is saying is going to create some sort of a loss and not what you want. Which is why you're juggling between what's logical and what you really want to do, what's intuitive to do. So you really need to block this. You really need to release this block because it's preventing you from manifesting what you want simply because you feel like it's not going to happen. Like you feel like you can't do it because it's going to be you're not going to be able to fulfill your sense of duty if you follow your true dreams and desires. And that's not true. So release any blockages you have with trying to manifest, or release any feelings that you have that what you truly want and desire will not come. And again, that goes back to being able to surrender your outcomes to the divine and not worry about the when, where, why, how aspect of manifestation, and only worry about what you're trying to manifest. And hold that thought true. Okay? What's coming to my mind to say to you is hold these truths to be self evident. Okay? And what I take from that is your truths are going to um, the evidence of the truth of your truth is going to appear the moment you stop riding the fence and just follow your intuition and follow your heart. Go with the flow of your heart and not against it. Okay? I hope this helped. And until next time, Cancers, love and light.